Hello and welcome to patch 12.7. I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed edition. For this video, I'm going to go through each of these changes and painstakingly tell you why they're really dumb. Why am I going to do that? Because this morning I woke up and I was reading on my phone and I was on Reddit and I saw the patch notes on Reddit and I went and I started reading them. And every change I read, I just thought, because they were so bad, and I couldn't believe that after the patch preview had such a negative reception that they went ahead with every single bad change. So rather than just be angry Hashinshin ranting at a video again, we're gonna go through why each and every one of these is dumb. Because I promise you, if you know, I know I say this every video, but if you know as much as me, if you read every patch note like me, if you've been in the game long enough like me, you start to see these patterns, these things that are easily describable if you have the time, that a lot of people deny are true, but things like on-hit Nico, you can just point out the exact moment when it was stupid. So we're gonna go through every one of these changes. Now, there's one funny thing here. Moonstone Renewer is not Stridebreaker. I'm not really sure what's going on with that, but yeah, that has absolutely nothing to do with the rest of the video. They just have the wrong icon. It was kind of funny the first time I looked at it. Okay. So I think what Riot was trying to do here is they received a lot of complaints that their last patches weren't really doing anything. So they put this huge list of champions they were nerfing and champions they were buffing. And they were like, look at all this work we did. We're back to form. Look at all this stuff. And the problem I have with this is so many of these champions are inconsequential. And so many of these champions are champions we've seen before. No? Gangplank, Gwen, Wukong, Yasuo, Yone. Boy, we've seen these champions a lot. And for those who've been playing a while, Lolaya, Nico, Callista, Karthus, there's not one champion on this list who isn't the champion who is constantly pushed back into meta. This is basically Riot just rotating through the list of champions that they have deemed competitively acceptable. But fine, let's go on. Gangplank doesn't need to be buffed. Doesn't need to be buffed at all. I can prove that. Here is the win rate history of Gangplank. Here, let me zoom in here. Can I zoom in here? Not that far. When we look at Gangplank's win rate history, and let's go from 2018 to now, do you see his win rate just below 50%? Historically speaking, every time Gangplank, with his post-rework state, gets to around this win rate, he's overpowered. So Riot decided that he's about balanced below 50%, obviously. About here, about 46, 47, 48%, that's where he's balanced. Right now, and let me bring this up here, you can literally see that Gangplank is at some of the highest win rates he's had for quite some time. Since 2011, this is basically the highest string of win rate that Gangplank's been at. He doesn't need to be buffed. I think everyone agrees with that. Not every champion is balanced at 50% win rate, particularly a champion who is supposed to run out of mana if he Q spams you, who doesn't even run out of mana if he Q spams you. Now he won't even run out of mana if he Q spams you while hitting W, and he scales even better, even though he already has his crit shenanigans being dumb as shit. Gangplank is arguably struggling at all levels of play. That's factually untrue. We can see his win rate is higher than it's been in an entire year. Is this struggling? This is a champion who frequently shows up at Worlds. This is a champion who's been showing up in pro play, who even in solo queue has some of the highest win rate he's ever had, and he's getting buffed. As a serious question, as a legitimately serious question, do any of you truly believe in your heart that after doing this, Gangplank won't be nerfed? Serious question. Do any of you think that in pro play, since he's already being played, in solo queue, and all these things, you truly believe, you truly look at this and you think, yeah, dude, Gangplank won't be nerfed after this, 100%. No, we're gonna see him back on these patch notes under the nerf, maybe a month and a half from now. That's a Hashinshin guarantee. 2 months tops. Quote me. Gwen. Okay, here's something about Gwen and this buff. This is a ginormous buff, and a lot of people aren't properly thinking this one through. Let me actually prove this one. So the thing is, what Riot is doing is they are giving Gwen a 60% cooldown reduction rather than a 50% on her E. Now, let's run the numbers right here. Everybody run the numbers. You go 9 and you remove half of that, that goes to 4.5. So currently here, Skip and Slash has a 4.5 second cooldown. Everybody get that? If you remove 60% of that, it becomes a 3.6 second cooldown. This cooldown starts to reach near Fiora parry levels of cooldown, but is not on a champion who actually needs to reposition to do her damage. You can talk about her Q. Oh, but she needs to hit her Q. Okay, she needs to stand still for like a split second, and she doesn't need to be on particularly any side of you or anything like that. That is a gigantic buff. 4.5 to 3.5 second cooldown on her E. The way it's written doesn't give that away so much, but promise me, that's a big buff. In addition, her ult going from 100 to 80 to 100 to 80 seconds cooldown. This is a champion who will now be able to stat check you even harder. I think this is what Riot is really trying to do. I've said this a million times. I don't think that Riot intended Gwen to be a pro play champion. I think they just intended her to be a waifu champion, that everyone would just play Gwen and be like, ah ha ha, Gwen, she's so cute, and then buy Cafe Cuties Gwen. And I think what they're trying to do here is make Gwen kind of like a Master Yi, and that you can kind of just run at people and do this, just the 4 palm strike where you just start hitting all 4 keys at the same time, just all 4 keys being hit repeatedly. And I think that's what they're trying to do with Gwen. They want bronze Gwen players to just do the 4 palm strike, 4 finger strike, and get to a 50% win rate. Much like how they forced Aurelia like that. That's what they're trying to do with Gwen. They're trying to... I think she's going to be overpowered too, actually. I think Gangplank will be overpowered. I think Gwen will be overpowered. I don't think it's even going to be any fun either, because she's literally just going to E forward while hitting R. It'll just be like ER, and then it'll just be chop, 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 Q, E forward, chop, 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 Q, E forward, chop, chop, chop. And yeah, that's not going to be fun, because she's not even squishy. Jace. Okay, I want to show you guys something about Jace. When people ask me about damage creep, this is how damage creep happens. Let me explain. They gave Jace a damage buff on his Q in Season 10. Then they gave Jace a damage buff on his Q in Season 10. Now that everyone learned that Jace is actually basically impossible to lane against, we're nerfing him. Are we nerfing him by toning back the damage buffs we have done? Are we toning those back? No. We're making him squishier in the early game with less health and less armor. This is how damage creep happens. For anybody who's ever wondered how there gets to be so much damage creep in League without it being super obvious. Just small little details like this. Over the past 2 years, Jace will now deal less damage, he will deal more damage and he will die faster. That is damage creep. Now, I don't think this really fixes Jace's issues. He's gonna be back in a year. Next year, they're just gonna buff his damage again. And here's the problem. Jace with Phase Rush has no counterplay. He jumps on top of you, he knocks you away, cancels the knockback into an auto attack, which he can do, by the way. He can be auto attacking you while knocking you back. Then he has a Phase Rush active and he runs away. There's no counterplay to it. He does it every time Phase Rush is off cooldown. He removes half or more of your health bar. It is basically impossible for melee champions to deal with it. The counter seems to be just making him really squishy. So if he fucks up, if he messes up, if he plays improperly, then you can kill him. If he doesn't play improperly, then you can't do anything. You can't kill him. Okay, brilliant. Before we get into this, I want to remind everyone to like and subscribe and leave a comment down below. As always, you can use this as a second monitor video. That's great. That's just small little thing there. Kalista. Okay, so Kalista's getting more mana and movement speed and attack speed growth. This fixes absolutely nothing about the champion. Literally, it reads, Kalista still is yet to see pro this season. So what, you're buffing her until she sees pro and then you'll nerf her? Why not just not buff her? Like, there's nobody forcing you, Riot, to buff a champion you know will become an issue. It's like Riot is sitting there going, is she ruining the game? No? Buff her. Is she ruining the game? No? Buff her. Is she ruining the game? Damn it! I guess we're gonna have to nerf her now. But why buff her until she ruins the game just to nerf her again? We know it's gonna happen. It happens every time. Nothing about this champion has been fixed. Whatever. Karthus. Okay, so I want to show you guys this thing about Karthus. To show how some of these champions like Karthus show up in the patch notes so many times, and to show you guys how Riot just doesn't know what they're doing, and how do we see Karthus being buffed and nerfed every second or third patch. How does that happen, Hashinshin? I'm going to show you exactly. Back in Season 10, they buffed the damage of his Q, and they buffed the AP ratio of his Q, but they lowered its damage against the jungle. Everybody get that? Base damage up, AP ratio up, damage against jungle down. Then they reduced the AP ratio, then they reduced the damage, then they tried to buff the AP ratio, and I guess it is still buffed. So, nerfed the damage against jungle, buffed its AP ratio, buffed its damage, nerfed its AP ratio, buffed its damage, nerfed its base damage, nerfed its base damage again, and now we're buffing it against the jungle. So since this change, with 5 different changes to his Q, the total change will be 5% less damage against jungle, 5% more AP ratio. That's what we achieved. In like 8 patch notes for Karthus over 2 seasons, we have achieved he does 5% less damage to the jungle and he does 5% more AP ratio. That's it. That's what we achieved. All of this. I keep repeating this because I want you guys to see this champion. Riot just turbo, but like they play favorites so hard, and you just see one champion get 8 patch notes. While you got one champion, like let's say Olaf, who Riot accidentally nerfs him to the ground, gives 1 buff, and they're like, no, we gave him the 1 buff. What can we do? That's it, guys. We're done. Cool. Lee Sin. So they're nerfing his base AD ratio, and they're nerfing his Q base damage. This is particularly funny because when we look at Lee Sin, the last change they did was nerfing his base damage. Lee Sin used to have one of the highest base damages in the game. I think actually he was tied for literally the highest level 1 damage. Now it's been nerfed by 4 in total. Now, nerfing his Q cooldown is pretty funny because they reduced its cooldown over here. And I believe if I go back far enough, we can see they increased its damage. So since Season 9, what has Riot done for Lee Sin? They buffed his damage again, then they reduced his cooldowns. What? Then they buffed, so they reduced the cooldown on his Q, buffed the damage on his Q, buffed the damage on his E, reduced the cooldown on his E, increased the cooldown of his E, reduced the damage on his E, reduced the damage on his Q, reduced the damage on his passive. Do you see, like with the Karthus thing, what I'm saying here? So since Season 9, Lee Sin's Q has gone down cooldown for less damage. His E has gone down cooldown for less damage. His ultimate has gone up cooldown. Or say up damage. His ultimate has gained more damage, and his auto attacks have gotten less damage. This just amounts to nothing. Like, this is what I'm talking about. You can go back up here and you can read all these buffs happening, all these nerfs happening. And when I see it's the same champions being nerfed and buffed in the same ways, guys, Lee Sin is going to get this base damage back. Give it a month, give it 2 months, give it 3 months tops. He's going to get this base damage back. We're going to be back here in another patch note talking about Lee Sin. I sometimes feel like I'm crazy because, like, I've been here before. They buffed his Q damage. Now they're nerfing his Q damage. Then they'll buff his base damage after nerfing his base damage. Whatever. So, Lilia. I don't really have much to say about Lilia. They tried to give her a mini rework. It looked really overpowered. Then it kind of came out and it was like, yeah, you know, it wasn't terrible, but certainly the healing against champions didn't quite hit the mark, so to speak. You rarely notice that she even more heals against champions. She does. If she puts her dot on you, she actually does heal. I, once again, believe that they're trying to push Lilia as a replacement for Singed. It's not the end of the world. Like, okay, her W got way more damage, her passive does more healing, but not more base healing, more healing based on AP ratio, so don't expect tank Lilia to be buffed. It's whatever. I don't really have anything to say about this. Nico! So this is what Riot's doing. Here, let me read this. Nico's been hidden from pro play despite being a strong tomato in solo queue. Guys, I don't understand. Does Riot write these patch notes, or is someone trying to make Riot look like an idiot writing these patch notes? I truly don't get it. So you're saying she's strong in solo queue, but she doesn't get picked in ranked. So we're buffing her anyway. What? Why are you buffing her anyway? Why are you doing that, Riot? Why are you buffing her anyway? Why are you doing that? Why are you buffing her anyway? Why does she need to be buffed anyway? I don't believe so, and yet you are. Why are you doing that? I don't know. Her on-quit build was quite popular in past metas. Yes, by popular they mean extraordinarily overpowered, extraordinarily oppressive, and just dominated every melee champion in top lane because they couldn't deal with it. So we're bringing it back to lure the curious chameleon out of hiding. So basically what they're saying is, we're nerfing Jace because he was a ranged champion that bullied all the melee. That was bad. Bad Jace. We're buffing Nico because she'll be a ranged champion who bullies all the melee champions. Good job, Nico. Imagine like sad music when I'm talking about Jace and happy music when I'm talking about Nico, when in fact they're doing the same thing. So they're giving her back her full W on hit damage, and they're giving her back her full W movement speed. For those wondering, I did go ahead and record the exact patch when it happened. Patch 9.14. This is when they removed, or I should say nerfed, the bonus movement speed from her shapeshitter on every third hit. They nerfed her damage. I mean, you can literally see how much this build was hated and how much Riot wanted to murder it into the ground. Her attack speed growth down, her attack damage growth down, her base attack damage down, her movement speed down, her attack speed at level 1 down. This, guys, let's look back to season 9, which is a mere 3 years ago. Riot decided, dear God, on-hit Nico is so overpowered, we need to burn this shit with fire. We need to burn it to the ground and stop it from ever happening again. Now in season 12, they're going, hey man, why did we ever remove on-hit Nico? Let's bring it back. Yeah. Pantheon. Let me explain what's going on with Pantheon. Some guys don't really understand this, but to be honest, it's really not that complicated. So basically his Q hitbox is currently like, let's say like this, right? They're making it more like this. It's losing, in fact, I can do that better by making it red. Okay. So it's like this right now. They're making it more like this. It'll go further forward in the front. Not as much as this would visually make it seem, but you get my idea, right? Less in the sides, more in the front. You guys get that? They're trying to turn him more into like a pokey type champion. I'm not really sure why, but they are. So, I mean, to be honest, it's not a bad idea. This is one of those changes where I actually don't think this is a bad idea. He's losing some base health regen, so he's not just going to be able to sit back in lane and out-heal everyone by just being Pantheon and just win because he's Pantheon. But in return, his Q gets more range, and his shield, he can move backwards while shielding, so champions can't just run past him, and his ultimate comes down faster. So I think overall this is a positive change. It pushes him more to how I and other people kind of see him, in that he's supposed to be more of like a mid-range champion. Currently he's just kind of been balanced as a mid-range champion who's also just a rushdown point-and-click stun burst champion. I don't really understand why Riot went with that approach, but they did. So this kind of puts him more in line with what I had. Yeah. Really nothing else to say. A good change, but I really doubt it's going to be enough. I think it'll help him in top lane in particular. Maybe it'll also help him deal with mid laners more. I don't know. So Rengar, he's getting more jungle clear, but he's getting less damage against turrets. Why? Because when they let his Q on hit damage hit turrets, it meant that he just obliterated every turret. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not sure why they did that. The bonus attack speed by his Q and his ferocity Q plus the double attack reset meant that Rengar was actually one of the better champions at killing turrets to begin with. By doing this change, he just obliterated turrets from full HP. He basically just popped his ult and hunted down and killed a turret. So, okay. Rise. Okay, I brought up Rise to you guys. Can I, oh boy. Here's Rise. Can we talk about Rise? You might notice something when you scroll through Rise. This is current version of Rise. This is the 5th rework of Rise. We're currently on the 6th. This is the fourth rework of Rise. Everybody got that? This is the third rework of Rise. This is the second rework. Do you get my point here? Does everybody get that? He's been reworked 6 times. There's one common attribute that keeps breaking him. He has a mana ratio. The mana ratio means he can build tank items that happen to build mana, avoid the fact that he's supposed to be squishy, and murder people. It gets dumber than that, trust me. Rise has one of the highest base HPs in the game, but very low armor. So when he can build an item like, let's say, Frozen Heart, and get a lot of armor, and cover that his weakness is supposed to be that he's squishy, well, Riot, this gigungous base HP really works well with lots of armor, does it not? In other words, let me be clear. Rise is currently what? What is Rise? Let me look this shit up. I wanna actually look this shit up. Let's look at Masters Plus Rise. Where are you at, Rise? Rise. Currently, even in Masters Plus, he has a 43% win rate. He's still getting nerfed. Why? Because he builds tank items. He builds Pimblewinter. He builds Frozen Heart. Then he gets tanky. Then he split pushes against physical damage champions. It's an issue, Riot. Look, I understand you're attached to this whole Rise builds mana thing, but look, here's the problem. It's stupid. It doesn't interact with the game at all. Because you build mana doesn't mean you actually play the game differently. Nothing is different about Rise because he builds mana. Every time he uses the mana ratios to build tank items, to be creative and unique in any way, it breaks the game and he becomes overpowered. That's the problem, right? This mana ratio, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't change anything. He's the same champion, he just gets to build tankier. For 10 years now. Well, actually, shit, we're at 11 years now. For 11 years now, it has been clear Rise needs to lose the mana ratios. It's been very clear. Same issue happened on Victor. Remove the goddamn mana ratios, Riot. I don't care. I don't care. I literally... Does anyone care? Does anyone care? I don't care. I don't think anyone gives a shit. Remove the goddamn mana ratios. That's it. End of story. Wukong. So his Q cooldown is going down. And remember, his Q cooldown gets reduced by dealing damage. So even 1 second is fairly significant. His W cooldown is going down and can jump through walls. And his E damage is getting an AP ratio buff and doing more damage against monsters. Okay. Here's the problem with this one. Let me explain this one. When we look at Wukong, he's not a champion who's shit. He's just unpopular. Why is he unpopular? Why doesn't he do good? Let me explain this one. Because this one's quite obvious. See, they nerfed his magic resist randomly, but kept his armor passive. So he's really good into physical damage champions, not so good in the magic damage champions. This means he has very lopsided matchups. This means that even at a 50% win rate, he can actually be very powerful, just with bad matchups. So of course, what Riot is doing is finally buffing his magic resist. No, they're not. No, they're not at all. They're just buffing everything about him. The cooldown on his W is pretty significant. The going through walls on his W is also very significant. Buffing his Q cooldown is also very, very significant. All of these combined are pretty goddamn significant. Even top lane Wukong is still going to use Nimbus Strike to try to clear the jungle better. Everyone does that. Everyone clears the jungle. So, in other words, this is stupid. Wukong hasn't been seen in pro play much, despite having a theoretically good matchup into meta staples like Jason Graves. Could it be that Jason Graves are overpowered? That ranged champions that can beat melee champions in melee are overpowered? That being able to outscale you while always keeping you pushed in and having total dominance of the wave is overpowered? Do you think any of that could be true, Riot? No, it must be that Wukong isn't strong enough. I don't know, like I have nothing to say to this. This is dumb. This is... Have you seen any change here that hasn't... Well, okay, the Pantheon was kind of okay. I guess I like the Pantheon one. Literally every other change is stupid. Literally every other change is stupid. Literally every other change is stupid. Okay, let's go to Yasuo. Yasuo is struggling, so we are reducing the cooldown on his ultimate and giving him 30 more base HP. Yasuo is struggling. 49% win rate, second highest pick rate at Platinum. Oh. 48% win rate, 8th highest pick rate at Masters. Oh. 50% win rate, highest pick rate at all ranks. Oh. Yasuo is struggling. Despite my match history, Yasuo and Yone have been relatively weak. They're so weak. God, you're unplayably weak. 50% of weak. God, you're unplayable. And the sustained nerfs in 12.6 didn't do them any favors. Dear God, those nerfs nerfed them? Dear God, I didn't think that nerfs would nerf a champion. I guess we'll have to buff them. Rather than increasing their damage, how could you? They kill everyone in like 2 hits. We're giving the Wind Brothers more opportunity to flex their skills. Why? 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 For Yasuo, we're increasing his early combat durability and ability to synergize with teammates during laning. Why? 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 Yone is getting more success. Yone is also getting more access to his ult with a focus on late game, which is when it's usually harder for him to close gaps. It's harder for him to close gaps. It's fucking harder for him to... It's hard for him to close gaps. Yeah, Yone. Oh, don't you? I'm going. Oh yeah. We are taking a temporary. We are stopping this video in the mid. We are gonna go into the game. And we are, I swear, I'm going to do this. You guys are going to sit right here. You're going to sit down. You're going to watch me do this. You are all going to watch. You cannot look away. This is happening. This is happening. We are in the goddamn middle of this video, and this is happening. I promise you, we are doing this. Okay. Let's go. Come on, Riot. Stop trying to hide it. Let's go. It's harder for him to close gaps. Guys, let's remember, it's hard for Yone to close gaps. You guys, you didn't think I would go through it at all. You didn't think I'd sit here and go through all this bullshit. What the? I cannot level up my abilities. There we go. That's weird. Okay. Okay. I am Yone. Well, they said late game, right? They said late game, right? So let's do late game Yone. I am Yone in the late game. However, will I close gaps? There's nothing I can do, for I am Yone in the late game.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
More than the entire screen. Nothing else to say, Riot. It's usually harder for him to close gaps. What does have to being far ahead do? What, does having more items make your abilities gap close more or something? If you're fed, you can gap close more? Zeri continues to be the most broken champion, in my opinion, ever released into the game. She is disturbingly overpowered. She is, I honest to God think she's the most broken champion ever released into League of Legends ever. They are done. They are now obliterating on-hit Zeri. Her base armor is going down. Her health growth is going up. Her AD growth is going down. Her base damage is going down. If you build health on her, it will do worse because she's got lower armor. She has less AD, so she does less damage without building damage. Her Q now only does on hits once per cast, which I'm gonna be honest, I didn't realize it did more than one per cast. That's insanely stupid. Okay. She can now only gain 1 stack of R and 1 instance of E, Spark Surge, cooldown reduction per Q, Burst Fire cast, excluding critical strikes. Great! Riot, let's have a talk. You didn't, did you? You did not test Trinity Titanic Zeri. You did not test Trinity Zeri. You just for some reason thought that no AD carry would ever build Trinity. For some reason. Honestly. Just admit it. You honestly, for some reason, forgot that AD carries can build Trinity Force. You forgot. So their base damage down, there goes Trinity. With their base armor down, there goes health stacking. With her Q not giving multiple on hits, there goes Titanic. Yep, they're obliterating this champion. She's just dead. She's gone. She's dead. But her Q is now gaining more total AD from 110 flat to 110 to 120. If you actually build AD, she'll do more damage. If you don't build AD, she'll do far less damage. If she crits, she will get an additional R stack and she'll get an additional E cooldown reduction. So they're trying to force her to build crit. Basically, Riot's had it. They're done. They've had enough. They're fed up. They're up to here. They're saying, look, guys, we forgot. We forgot to test Trinity. Our bad. Okay, we're just going to murder it. And there's Zeri, and she's out there on the streets. Okay, and Riot's telling her, Zeri, look out at the bunnies, Zeri. You're gonna get your own bunny farm, Zeri. And Riot, with tears in their eyes, are behind them. They're just saying, look at the bunnies, Zeri. Dream of the bunnies, Zeri. Abyssal Mask. I'm laughing because a week ago someone asked me why no one built Abyssal Mask, and I was like, because Force of Nature is better in every way conceivable. So they're buffing Abyssal Mask, and now caps at 25 magic resist reduction rather than 20. Which is good. This item, it was nearly good. It just wasn't quite there. Gale Force is being nerfed. Why is Gale Force being nerfed? Gale Force is overpowered. And the problem with Gale Force being overpowered is that with it being on a lower cooldown and with it being so spammable, there's an issue. I think a lot of people have actually commented this. Aatrox, despite actually being quite decent right now, people will not play him in competitive play simply because the AD carry will always just Gale Force away from you every team fight. Meaning that your kit just kind of doesn't work. When it has a longer cooldown, when you can kind of juke it out or something like that, there's more gameplay about it. It makes it a weaker item. I think it's fundamentally an issue to have mobility on an item, but if it's properly gated, maybe there could be something. But again, there's also a fundamental issue with an item that literally people will say, should I play Aatrox? Nah, Gale Force. Now, I don't think it's that big of an issue in solo queue, but definitely in a pro play situation, it can be quite frustrating when your champion is relying on other players getting you to the win. Moonstone Renewer is getting nerfed. It's just getting nerfed. There's nothing really to talk about here. Umbral Glaive is getting buffed. Umbral Glaive is getting buffed because there definitely is not a number 6 best support building it as their first item. What do you think, Riot? Is it all those other lethality supports that it's bad on? It's only good on Pike. On every other lethality support, it's bad. Okay? It's only good on Pike. That's it. All the other lethality supports, it's doing bad on. I don't understand either. This is literally just Pike. They're literally just, this should just be under Pike buffs. What the fuck is the point of this? Winter's Approach is getting nerfed because Riot wants to double nerf Rise. I actually think this item is too weak. I expected this item to get buffed eventually. I really did. I truly, like, in my heart, I believed in my heart that this item was gonna get buffed. And it got nerfed. Okay. Time Warp Tonic is getting nerfed because... I don't know. They want to nerf it on ranged champions, I guess, but then they're nerfing it on everyone. I don't know. I truly, sometimes Riot's changes are an enigma to me. After like 3 years of having this rune, I thought we were kind of past it. It's like, yeah, it's good in the early game, doesn't scale. Yeah, it's probably a little bit overpowered, whatever. But I guess in Riot's mind, Biscuit Time Warp Tonic needed to be nerfed. Now, of all patches, not last patch, not 2 patches ago, not next patch, this patch. Why? I don't know. Was Jace? I mean, Jace got nerfed. So, what? Who? When? Where? Why? I don't know. ARAM, I don't give a shit. They're giving you less free shit right now. Masterwork chests can no longer drop Masterwork chests. So effectively, Masterwork chests they got 10% less value. I don't know. Someone mentioned it to me. I looked it up. I was like, well, I'm not a whale, so I don't really put that much money into this game. I buy a skin for like the 10 champions I play. Sometimes I buy skins for new champions or for champions I pick up. That's about it. In a year, I spend maybe $100 tops. So for me, I'm not really the audience here. Maybe someone who actually is a whale could explain to me that this isn't a nerf or it is a nerf. I don't know. I don't know. They continue to give away Series 1 Eternals capsules because Eternals sucked and no one wanted them, and now they're in the game, and now they just sort of bloat the game. There's just more complexity and more stupid shit in the game, and it's never going away, and it's never getting removed, and you cannot stop them. And this is how old games get feature bloat that leads to them not really generating a new audience. You want to know? Here's a random tangent. One thing Fortnite has done really well is that they remove shit from their game all the time. All the time. Stuff will just be gone. And I'm not talking about base building. No, I'm talking about like a lot of other things. It'll be like a big thing. Like this season, we're adding the teleporty thingies. And then like 2 years later, they're basically all gone. And there's maybe like one left on the map just for novelty's sake. And that's it. And I think that's good about Fortnite when you're willing to just go back and remove things from the game so that you don't end up with horrible feature bloat. If you don't do that, you end up with things like Eternals. Now, Eternals were maybe a decent idea at first until you had to pay for achievements. That failed, but Riot's just kind of trying to. It's like they realize nobody wants them, so now they're trying to give them away for free, hoping that people want them. Like, guys, we're giving you Eternals, and everyone's like, great, you're giving me the thing I should have gotten anyway. Look, I don't like hate bandwagoning, so I'll just drop it there on Eternals. Piltover Clash, I don't know, I don't care. Bug life and quality fix changes. Okay, there's one funny one. I know this bug happened to one of my teammates, and I know I got really angry at them, so now I feel bad. Fixed a bug where Oriana's R shockwave would sometimes originate from Oriana, despite having moved her ball to an ally with E command protect. So she would shield you, then ult, and then the ult would appear over herself instead of over you. And I know I've yelled at a teammate for this. So, oops. And then I don't understand how there's 2 bugs with Tahm Kench, because it's not like they changed the champion, they just put him into support. His kit is the same. Fixed a bug where Tahm Kench could R-devour an ally champion from a bush, and upon being spat out, the champion would be invisible to enemy players. That was in the game, and no one was abusing it, so that's amusing. Then we got one here. Fixed a bug that caused champions to become stuck inside Mordekaiser's R Realm of Death if it was cast on Tahm Kench as he was spitting out an ally he previously used R Devour on. So I'm just amused at the idea that there's an ally champion just stuck in the Realm of Death. They're just like, hello? Hello? Is anybody there? Lots of ghosts here. Pretty sure Mordekaiser's supposed to be here. Mord, where are you? Skins! Okay, last patch. Okay, I'm gonna be positive about these skins, dude. Last patch, I looked at these skins and I was just like, these suck. These are awful. I looked at them and I was wow, they were terrible. This patch, okay, like, that is straight up inspired. By inspired, I mean somebody had an idea. They had an art direction. They had something they wanted to do, and they put it on paper, and they put it in the game, and we all get to see it. This was not a paint by numbers. This was somebody who came to work one day and was like, holy shit, guys, I have a great idea. I mean, look at this. It's like really well done. Nothing more to say. This is just really, really nice. Look, I'm sorry, if Rise wasn't, well, Rise, I would probably play this. This just looks really cool. The Xayah and Rakan, I mean, they're not as great as the other ones, but you know, they still kind of look like Borderlands champions. But yeah, they're pretty cool. Yeah. I mean, the Ari one. I mean, look at this Ari one, dude. Look at the tails. Like, have they ever done anything like that with the Ari tails? Let me. Look at that. 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 Are you guys looking at that? Look at that. Are you guys looking at that? Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Look at those tails. Look at those tails. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. That's cool. Look at the Hecarim. That's cool. I also like the chromas. That's cool. That one, particularly cool. That one, cool. That one, cool. That one, maybe not. That one, really cool. That one, cool. Yeah, I don't even know which one I was saying. Just that one. Just generally that one. The Rise looks cool. Kind of Jin Rise, now that I'm looking at it. Still, though, I mean, you can't make 10 trillion skins and champions without some of them eventually looking similar. Except, is that the chroma or is that the base skin? Is that a chroma? I mean, this is different. Look, that color is different right there. Is that a chroma? That just looks like the base skin. The shoes are different, I guess. Okay. That one looks really cool. I always like purple. Not a big fan of the white one this time around. That one looks really cool. Oh, you know who that looks like. Oh, you know who that looks like. Xayah. I mean, one of them has to be the worst. Let's just be fair. One of them has to be the worst. Yeah. If you ranked them, they couldn't all be number one. So this one is the worst. Let's just be blunt. It kind of looks like pajamas. Not gonna lie. They didn't quite hit the mark on this one. Yeah. Just kind of looks like pajamas. I don't. That one kind of looks okay. That one. Rakan. Boy, Xayah and Rakan really sticking together here, huh? Xayah's like, holy shit, my skin's terrible. Rakan's like, don't worry, I'll distract him with my shitty skin. True boyfriend material here. Wow, okay. The neck. What's going on with the neck? I mean, if I was looking at it in game and it was like zoomed out, maybe, I don't know. I'm trying to stay positive. Yeah, I mean, that one I like the colors on. That's about it. Yeah. Okay, and that's it. Wow. Welcome to these very short patch notes. Well, we made it to the end, and you know what happens at the end. This is when I tell you guys, go to the link in my description and join my Patreon. For a mere $3 a month, you can support this video and help me out immensely. Join Hashinshin's Patreon today and help me continue to help you by making these videos. Hashinshin's Patreon, it's how you become a champion. Join my Patreon. Anyway, let's read them names. Thank you. Monica, Vape Lord Volnir, Amiru, Blazenrock, Christoph Marks, Crash Pinho, Fire Digger, Guardian Lamurtz, Josiah Davila, Kokirli, Malice, Mao Runner, Nathan Mark Tarangoy, Naughty Cultivator Zyra, Omar Nunez, Aniroy, Philemon Landry, Sophisticated Fart. I suppose I could turn my camera on for this one. Destroy, Used Car Salesman, Cyrillix, Death Note, Amzarine, Benji, British Mapper, Calum Niche, Creador, Daniel Fiala, Daisy Mew, Yadgad, Fel, Fonaku, Geb the Square, Hentai with Senpai, Hoon Arthur, Jamie Varela, Kalphos Zeramar, Naptroll, Noxian Scion, PKZ, Scorpion, Take One, Tomato, Under, Uvo Plaja, WLC League of Legends, Wolfman. Thank you all of you for supporting this channel, and you all should go support my Patreon. It helps a lot. Seriously, it does. Do it, please. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Special shout out Special shout out to my Patreon supporters, to my YouTube members, to everybody liking this. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Bye, everybody.